Hey, this is Nicolosi, and in this video we're going to create a multi-tap MIDI delay effect. Here I have a UM session with Mela loaded as a synth instance, and this is what the default preset sounds like. Okay, let's load another instance, but this time as a MIDI effect, and route its output to our synth instance. Our MIDI effect has a default preset loaded, and we can hear what that sounds like. It has an arpeggiator, so let's play a chord. But we're going to start with a blank canvas. And if I play a note again, we're not hearing anything. And that's because it has no input or output. So let's configure MIDI input by going to the signal router category and insert MIDI in. And now we'll receive MIDI events from MIDI input 1. And this virtual keyboard always sends MIDI events to input 1. We can test that out by inserting a MIDI logger. And if I press C3, MIDI logger displays our note events. Now we're not hearing anything because this instance is not sending anything out. So let's insert MIDI out, and by default it's set to output 1. And if I play a note, we can hear it now. Now it's worth noting that Mela comes with a module called Note Echo, which is a MIDI delay effect. So if I play a note, it repeated 3 times, and I can even make the pitch go up and the velocity go down. But we're not going to use that, and instead we're going to create a custom delay effect. But it's there if you want to use it. Okay, so to create a delay effect, what we need is a way to delay MIDI events. And for that, we can use a new MIDI delay module. And let's set this to time mode and set it to 1 second to see how it works. So if I play C3, we'll hear it 1 second later. And the other thing to note about this module is that it not only delays note events, but it delays all types of MIDI messages. So if I move a mod wheel, you'll see the logo will show the events 1 second later. Let's delete MIDI logger, and let's set this to, say, quarter note. Now, to create a simple delay effect, we need to have 2 things. We need to have unmodified signal combined with the delayed one. So to achieve that, I'm going to duplicate this lane and remove the delay module from the first lane. Now what we have is that first lane passes the signal unmodified, whereas the second lane delays it by a quarter note length. So let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, so we have our very basic delay. Now we can make our delayed signal more interesting. What we can do is have similar changes done to MIDI messages as note echo. So I'm going to insert a transposer module and also velocity. So we can set the transposer to 3 semitones, and in velocity module we can set offset to, say, maybe around -40. So what this will do, this will decrease note velocity values by 38. So let's set this to 127, and let's hear what that sounds like. So you can see the delayed note was 3 semitones higher and slightly quieter. So what we have now is we have our tap 1, and we can duplicate it to turn this into a multi-tap delay. So I'm going to rename this module to tap 1. And then duplicate it twice. And I'll change the timing to 16th to make it more interesting. Maybe set this to dotted value. And in here, I'll set this to 1/8. And I'll change the semitones to 4 here. So that's our major chord. Make the second tap a bit quieter. And maybe set this to -3. And make this even quieter. And let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, that's cool. One thing you may notice is that sometimes the effect may not sound harmonious. And this is because the notes will not always fall into the same scale. But what we can do, we can use the scale module to map all the notes to a certain scale. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to route all lanes to the same bus. And I'll explain why I'm doing that. So I'm routing all lanes to bus 1, and then I'll insert another lane and receive a MIDI from bus 1. And then I'll send this back out to the output 1. So if I play a note, it will sound the same as before. The reason I did this is because now I can insert a scale module. Let's explain what the scale module does first. So by default, it's in filter mode. So if I disable all black notes, what the scale module will do in this case is that it will not play any black notes. It will filter them out. So if I play this, we're not hearing 4 notes like we did before. So instead, what we need to do is change it to the nearest. And what this does is that if it receives the black note, it will map it to the nearest white note. So now you can hear it's always in a C major scale. And it always sounds harmonious. Of course, you don't need to choose any common scales, and you can just create a custom mapping like this, for example. So it will always play one of those 5 notes. Okay, one other thing to note is that we made all our taps the same. They all have the same modules, but you can obviously get creative and insert different types of modules and have completely different chains. Okay, that's all for now. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions or feedback, leave a comment below. See you next time.